I think that the team at the IMC are so professional.
They are.
Is it fair to say that, I mean, are people pickled from the inside here? Because they seem to be living forever.
Ooh, I think actually alcohol probably does help in an extent.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I once, so when I was clinical director, I gave the states members at the time, um, a presentation to say, look, these are the major problems, the medical problems that we've got. And it was a serious conversation with them. And I outlined the sort of five major problems that we had sort of 2018 to 2020. And I said, one of them is alcohol and drug dependency. And then we had other things like sort of pregnancy, getting ladies off to have their babies, the very elderly, dementia, all that kind of stuff. Um, and I sort of reiterated this thing about alcohol dependency. And one particular person, not on the States, um, I sort of speaking to about this later on, and they said, nonsense. I said, well, look, 5% of the population is probably an alcoholic or at least a hazardous drinker. And I said, that means about 100 people. Rubbish, absolute rubbish. There's nothing like 100 people who are alcoholics on this island. And I thought,
Mm.
and this person obviously was an alcoholic who I was having this conversation with and in complete denial about it. I would not accept that there were that many alcoholics or that alcoholism was even a problem,
And, and did
which it is.
the states enact any initiatives or do anything?
No.
Well, there you go. It's funny you say this because so I used to work in tech companies, and I was out in San Francisco working for a med tech startup who were trying to introduce whole foods and fasting into the insurance market, which of course they failed. But to reduce type 2 diabetes and stuff. Blue zones are the fascinating places in the world where people live past 100. So I was sent on a little journey to go
Mm.
and interview all of the cardiologists that I could possibly meet in San Francisco and around California. And after interviewing this fascinating guy, for our pitch deck or whatever it was, and I said, "Oh, just one more thing before you go. What's the opposite of a blue zone?" And he goes, "Well, there isn't really an opposite of a blue zone, Cam, but there is this place called Guernsey, and it has the highest amount of alcoholics per capita." And I thought, I had no idea where that is. But it was fascinating 'cause,
Really?
yeah, he pulls out this graph and he shows,
Really?
I mean, I'm sure the statistics are in some way measured on size of
Yeah.
population or,
Well,
or
absolutely.
whatever.
I thought actually when I googled that, Sark came up as being the one with the most per capita.
With a
Um,
bailiwick.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. But in fact, when I started doing this, because I prepared for this
Of
presentation,
course,
and
yeah.
Alderney's always been considered, 2,000 alcoholics clean. Yeah, I get actually quite cheesed off with that kind of description of it now. Um, every island in the world, Australia, you know, big islands also have huge problems with alcohol. And I think it's not just the fact that we're Channel Islands, every island has that. There's always going to be a number of people wherever you go who are going to have that sort of tendency towards self-destruction of whatever it is.
Of course,
If it
yeah.
keeps them going for as long as it does, great.
Mm.
And there's an awful lot of people who manage alcohol and hazardous drinking on this island without too much of a problem.
Of course, yeah.
And they don't struggle. They seem to succeed in everything they
Mm.
do.
I mean, I know that I'm I guess I'm joking because I don't know why we joke about alcohol, but the flip side of this is obviously the bad things that come from it, and particularly like suicide,
Yeah.
which is actually higher in the Channel Islands
Yeah.
than it is the UK, and it's like, yes, if your life is in order and you've got everything on track, then you can go and have a drink every day, and you're not gonna isolate yourself or self harm.
Mm.
But actually, it's the people in the community that actually are drinking because they're trying to fix a problem
Yeah.
that I really get scared about,
I
just
would love
because.
to see I mean, and Guernsey and Nikki Brink, we had long conversations about how to tackle the problem. But obviously, there has to be a political will. And if you're charging huge amounts of tax on a bottle of whiskey or a bottle of gin, that's going to be a little bit more important in terms of filling your coffers up than it is for actually sort of
Oh, I
treating
see.
people's liver.
I see. Interesting. Wow.
That's my own take on the
That's
subject.
the
But there you
way
go.
the world works,
Yeah,
isn't it? Incentives,
there's money in
incentives.
it.
But weirdly, I think one of the highest indicators of a long life is community and connection.
Yes.
even above, your physical health. And that's something that Alderney absolutely
Has. Yeah,
smashes.
it has in spades.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it?
It's great, and, no more seen than, when we started doing the vaccinations after COVID, during COVID, and seeing the number of people who would come out and queue up, and the elderly people, and there would be all these lovely conversations, and it was almost like it was a community queue, if you like. Come, have a chat about things because people could then come out and mingle, stick their arm out, get a jab, come back in a month's time and have another one, or whatever it was.
Mm.
And that community spirit, and we had the highest number of positively vaccinated people in the world
Wow.
at one particular point.
Was
We
it
we
nearly
had about
100%?
97%. Yeah.
Really?